In the 19th episode of the American Reveille Podcast, James Lane examines national and local news outlets to uncover the sinister patterns of manipulation being weaponized against you, the working class American. It doesn't matter what race, religion, creed, or political affiliation you are. We're being manipulated, torn apart, divided, tricked, duped, and gamed. And while rich white people apologize for their supposed privileges and politicians can't get on the same page about police reform and national monuments, we're all being distracted from something much more devious, infectious, and destructive. What or who could that be? What is the answer to the problems we face, and how must we proceed going forward? Everything is revealed in this, the controversial 19th episode of the American Reveille Podcast. Buckle up, buttercup. Ladies and gentlemen, never in my life, I repeat, never in my life have I felt like this much of a goddamn puppet. My name's James Lane, this is the American Reveille Podcast, and I'm sorry for the blasphemy, but I just can't stress this enough. Never in my life have I ever felt like this much of a pawn piece being manipulated for some kind of political Game of Thrones style power grab from all parties involved. This is garbage. This is bullshit. We the people, all people, the people trying to make a living, working hard and feeding our kids, we the people with no time to participate because we're trying to pay for our kids' health insurance. What the F is wrong with these people? And I'll repeat that. What the F is wrong with you guys taking advantage of all the people just trying to make it in this country, just barely making it, while you all fight over your little chunks of power like damn marshmallows in the Lucky Charms box? None of you seem to really give a damn because you're too busy fighting for political power and status, and you're so consumed with greed and visions of glory and power, delusions of grandeur like the bipolar children that you are, neglected of a normal existence because mommy and daddy were afraid to spank you. I keep hearing over and over again that it's an election year. Anything could happen. It's an election year, guys. Anything could happen. Are you guys all asleep? Do you have any idea how fucking insane that sounds? I didn't realize that the fate of my 330 million fellow Americans were based upon television ratings. People start out at different economic places in this country, and trust me, much of it isn't fair. But the truth isn't always comfortable now, is it? It's an election year, remember? Anything could happen. So don't you think that the rise of socialism, extremism, this racial divide, unrest, lawlessness, violence, and terror is enough, don't you think? Or is this an election year? Anything could happen. We have a terrible and frightening socialist regime hiding behind a disguise so simple in its making that it's literally fooling everyone around you. It might even be fooling you. Right now, all around you, people are becoming more and more infiltrated, reprogrammed, comfortable with these radical changes, and soon there will be a point of no return in which our country will radically change, and not for the better like people are thinking, but into a period of more division, more hate, more violence, more terror, more rhetoric, more chaos. And if we the people don't stand up for our rights, don't keep our mouths open and our feet planted shoulder width apart, if we don't keep, as Americans, our fist clenched and our wits about us, this country we love, our children's futures, will be swept away with the receding tidal waves. And like a tidal wave, there will be no warning. Just sunset, sunrise, eerie silence and emptiness, sorrow, regret, pain, and darkness. Why is it always the American story that we wait until it's almost too late, right at the last minute, to act together as a nation? What if one time we stumbled and we missed that window? What if that time was right now? What happens to our beloved democracy then? What happens? Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to find out. and I don't think you guys do either. And I hope all of this blows over and we can make some things right for equality and find a balance between everyone again. I really hope that we come to our senses and realize that all of this hate and violence, it won't beget a lasting peace or a lasting change for anyone. But again, like they keep saying, it's an election year, anything can happen. This, my friends, this is getting to be quite ridiculous, isn't it? I'm talking for all sides, all parties, all candidates, all Democrats tasting blood, becoming emboldened and waging all-out war, to the Republicans' seemingly stunned and sheepish response to everything, to radical groups grabbing for bits of power. I mean, this shit's crazy. This is why I can't help but wonder why we are being manipulated, why we feel that magnetism. All of this, it feels designed. It feels like there's something bigger going on. And I, for one, want to know why many of you seem to be completely missing the point. Are you just closing your eyes and putting your heads in the sand, hoping the big bad boogie monsters will go away? Well, grow up and grow a pair. It's not gonna go away. These are historical times, and you better, if you hope to keep them, you better be prepared to vocally defend your rights and freedoms, your God-given constitutional rights and freedoms, because I promise you, I swear on my life, the minute you forfeit those rights to anyone or anything, you will never, ever get them back. And you will have no one to blame but yourself. They'll be gone forever. And it'll all be because you were too much of a coward, too pathetic, too afraid to even just speak up when they pointed their stick and shook it at you. You decided to give away your freedoms because you just wanted to be left alone. You just didn't take it serious. And still, the ultimate irony is that under that fake guise, you'll never be left alone ever again. No one is ever redeemed. No one ever recovers from this. It's a myth. So get used to socialism if you won't stand up for the rights and freedoms of all Americans, especially your family and yourself, regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity, gender preference, or orientation. Some of you are fighting against the very institutions that protect the very freedoms and rights to fight against them in the first place, which really tells me that a lot of you have absolutely no idea what you're fighting for and the consequences of your actions whatsoever. So I realize many of you may be thinking that I'm going too far in this episode, but aha! I've come prepared with evidence. I'm going to go through two major news stations, CNN and Fox, and show you some examples of the aforementioned manipulation that I'm talking about. Then I'm going to dive into the local news from, say, Minneapolis, Chicago, Seattle, New York, Miami, even LA, and I'm going to show you how they're only perpetuating the same tactics, regardless of affiliation, how they're both playing chess with their pawns. And who are these pawns, you ask? Us. But first, I want you to think about something. So, we've had the internet and social media for a long time now, and we might even be able to technically say that we've had social media for decades. They discovered ways, and this is my opinion, of course, but they've discovered ways to train people to react to headlines. And this seems like it should be common knowledge. We all seem to know this. We all know people who only read the headlines and never read the story. Many of us are those people. The clickbait and the BS that's out there, it's all over. It's weaponized. It's made people into guinea pigs. It's one big effed up social experiment, and it's not fair. It's not avoidable, and it was forced upon every single American as a co-pilot to the internet. This, of course, like I said before, is my opinion, but you're absolutely free to find some sense in my assumptions because trust me, they do make sense. So let's look at Fox News. Now, remember, we'll mostly do the headlines and maybe a couple stories for all these outlets we go through, because who has the time to read through the constant stream of information we get on a second-by-second basis anyway? So let's see what the wonderful world of headline dopamine has to offer right now. All right. So let's take a look. Right here on Fox, we have a big thumbs down in big bold letters for the mayor of St. Louis after doxing protesters on Facebook Live. She's a Democrat. And yes, if they were peaceful, let's see, it's pretty uncool to reveal their names and addresses, putting them in danger. That's my words, of course. If they were practicing their constitutional rights, then their privacy shouldn't be infringed upon. Either way, let's keep going down the list. So what's this say? Abolish the police, prisons, more? Here's where the radical experiment is headed. Spooky. From Tim Graham. Oh, geez, a 49% spike in officers filing for retirement in New York City's police department. And as I glance to the right, I see that Duck Dynasty's on Fox, and I can binge all 11 seasons if I want to. And looking back to the left now, I see that Governor Newstrom's shutting down all the bars in LA again, and a COVID-19 outbreak at a college bar infected 85 people, and all this while the LA mayor urges residents to stay home. And guys, this is still just the headlines. Glancing to the right, there was a shooting in Kentucky from a protester. Now, this is a ton of information to take in for everyone. While the article in front of me is making me feel guilty, the one that says owners of destroyed restaurant reacted to fund the police calls, there's another right next to it telling me that Adam Carolla is mad about people attacking Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, where are and what are our priorities as a people right now? And why is no one clarifying that? Why are we being made to stay confused? You need to be asking yourself that question. Why do they want me frustrated and confused? Now Pelosi says she doesn't know what the Russians have on Trump after reports on bounties on U.S. troops. What? Russia again? So let me skip this and see what the next story says. Top conservatives demand answers on reports Russia paid Taliban to kill U.S. Russia? Fuck me. So now what could be worse? Let's keep going. Chicago drive-by kills a 20-month-old child. Folks, that's the next headline. And I keep skipping through these because this is slow compared to the speed at which these headlines hit us on a daily basis. And this 20-month-old child, it's just infuriating. So when does that stop? Most people, though, they won't read that article because there's too much stuff to do in one day, and life just moves way too fast for people to handle now. A lot of the politicians and the political activists both dance on the back of the poor and the innocent and assert their dominance, while a Chicago drive-by shooting kills a 20-month-old child. Shame on you for keeping silent out of fear. You know who you are. Then a Montana man is charged with knocking down a monument of the 10 Commandments. Now the church is under attack, folks. Socialism, guys. Socialism does that. If you're wondering why the church is being attacked, socialism does that. Just reminding you, and then Trump did another dumbass thing on Twitter, great, which was tweet a video with someone yelling a racist saying, which I just don't understand, by the way, how Trump fucks this up so much sometimes. And look, I swore an oath to the Constitution, guys. I'm a veteran, all right? I respect the president. He's my president. But man, if I was him, I would have a team of people filtering my tweets if I was president, because it's literal neglect for someone to have not caught that and stop that from getting posted. So sometimes he shoots himself in the foot, and I feel like less of that would be really helpful to his campaign. This stuff just goes on, and I already have this nausea in the pit of my stomach. This is how I start my day. This is how millions of people start their day. So let's go further. Let's take a look at a different site, since we see that the point of this was to draw us in with the balance, then make us feel sad and sympathetic, then scare the shit out of us. So let's try to calm down. Maybe CNN will be a little more peaceful. So let's look at the top story. This just in. He died of coronavirus, COVID-19, and now 28 family members are infected. Bold move, CNN. Fear-mongering from the beginning. So let's take a look at some more. Followed by California bars closing due to COVID, a doctor freaking out about COVID, and then more COVID news stating that Pence now wants us to wear masks more. Well, doesn't this just spark up some distrust and confusion? And then we get a dire warning. The window is closing for the United States to get the coronavirus under control, explicitly coming from Trump's health secretary. So That's kind of scary. Maybe we should click this and find out what it actually means. Let's read it. This is from CNN writer Veronica Stequalersi, and I quote, Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar warned Sunday that the window is closing for the United States to get the coronavirus pandemic under control, as confirmed cases are surging in a majority of the country, and some states are dealing with a record number of hospitalizations. So this is kind of spooky. Maybe we should continue. Next line, things are very different from 2 months ago, so it is a very different situation, but this is a very, very serious situation, and the window is closing for us to take action and get this under control, Azar told CNN's Jake Tapper on State of the Union. Still kind of spooky. Let's keep reading. He suggested that the U.S. is better positioned to handle the pandemic than before, pointed to increased testing, contact tracing, hospital capacity, reserves of personal protective equipment, and advancement towards therapeutics and potential vaccines for the virus. The top health official's message differs from that of President Donald Trump, who seems ready to move on from the still raging pandemic. And Mike, wait, what? Hold on. Where did this story just go? I'm confused. Maybe if we keep reading, it'll straighten itself back out. So at a Friday press briefing by the White House's coronavirus task force, the first one in nearly 2 months, Pence declared that the U.S. had flattened the curve, painting a rosy picture at odds with reality. That sounds opinionated. 36 states are reporting a rise in positive coronavirus cases, and only 2 are reporting a decline in cases compared to last week. I think I heard something different. So on Friday, the U.S. reported the highest number of new cases in a single day, with at least 40,173 new infections. The previous daily high was reported on Thursday. All right, we're back to scary again. Several states, including Texas and Washington state, and localities have paused their reopening plans or reimposed some restrictions in hopes of curbing the spread of the virus. So Azar then denied that reopening too quickly was tied to the rise in cases, but instead, inappropriate individual behavior that had enabled the spread of the virus was at fault. It's not so much about what the law says on the reopening as what our behaviors are within that, he told Tapper. So this headline, if I remember correctly, said that the Health and Human Services Secretary was warning that the window was closing. It made it sound like this horrible doom was upon us. But if you keep reading further, it's much different. Let's see, this sounds more common sense. Hold on. He cautioned that if Americans act irresponsibly, if we don't social distance, if we don't use face coverings in settings where we can't social distance, if we don't practice appropriate personal hygiene, we're going to see spread of the disease. So what's wrong with this? That's common sense. That makes perfect sense. If we act like morons, dumb stuff is going to happen. I mean, put A and B together. That makes sense. So when he was asked about Trump's the administration's request to the Supreme Court on Thursday to invalidate the Affordable Care Act amid a pandemic, Azar said that they'll still work with Congress on a replacement plan. Quote, we have made very clear that the Supreme Court strikes down all or a large part of Obamacare because it's constitutionally or statutory infirm. We will work with Congress to create a program that genuinely protects individuals with pre-existing conditions, Azar said, adding that the exact details will be dependent on the court's decision and the makeup of Congress. Former U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention Director Dr. Tom Friedman cautioned on Fox News Sunday that while the U.S. is doing more testing and our hospitals are better prepared, the virus still has the upper hand. And when asked whether the Trump administration's claims of rising case numbers were the result of more testing to be done, Friedman dismissed it and said, as a doctor, a scientist, and epidemiologist, I can tell you with 100% certainty that in most states where you're seeing an increase, this is a real increase. It's not more tests, it's more spread of the virus, Friedman said. So, first of all, the headline itself is scary, And if you don't read the article, like apparently most people don't, then you won't know that it isn't the grim, horrible, terrifying warning you're led to believe it is. In fact, it's mostly positive news with some realistic caution thrown in, and then some opinions as well. And if you decide to read the whole article to the end, you're forced to wonder who to believe, the HHS secretary or some former CDC director without data and a vague statement. It's screwy. It's not journalism. It's manipulation. Manipulation, whether you just read the headline or actually read the whole story, which half the time has nothing to do with the actual headline itself. It's garbage, plain garbage. Ladies and gentlemen, when we get back, we're going to take this rabbit hole even further, and we're going to see just how much this has trickled down to the state level reporting. Let's see if we can relieve some pressure with some good old hometown news from some of the big cities, or are they also wrapped up in all this pandering to their overlords and demigods as well? The American Reveille Podcast will continue after a word from our host pretending to be a sponsor. Thank you very much.
The American Reveille Podcast with James Lane would like to take a moment to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to tune into the show. It's because of great fans like you that we strive to deliver the best quality content one can create as fast as one can fling the pen. With that being said, a good little boy never misses his opportunity to sell himself, and though James would never ask you for your money, he would like to let you know that if you absolutely love this podcast, the writing, the art, its production, anything, please do us the personal favor of liking, sharing, tweeting, texting, and talking about this podcast. James Lane is a father, a husband, a U.S. Navy veteran, and is personally committed to the success of the American Reveille Podcast. Please email James Lane directly at podcast@AmericanReveille.com, or please visit our website at www.AmericanReveille.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the American Reveille Podcast. I am your host, James Lane, and just a quick comment. The rest of CNN.com, after they terrify you, is all about how shitty Trump is. So psychologically, you can easily see what direction they're trying to steer you in. And with that being said, it's kind of time to start looking at a few major cities. But first, I want to take a second to please remind you to keep talking about this podcast, keep sharing it with your friends, keep sending me the crucial feedback that I need to make all of our dreams come true. We can't do great things without you guys, and every little click, every little comment, every like, every share not only counts, but is also greatly appreciated. All right, guys, so let's start in Minneapolis. Let's see how they're doing now. So, oh, look, good. The Minneapolis council members get private security after threats. Wait, aren't they the ones who just ousted the police? What happened, guys? What happened to your socialist paradise? So let's read this. It's by Tom Lydon. The city of Minneapolis is spending $4,500 a day. That's $4,500 a day, more than some people make every few months, for private security for 3 council members who have received threats following the police killing of George Floyd. A city spokesperson said the private security details have cost taxpayers, are you ready, guys? $63,000 over the past 3 weeks. The 3 council members who have the security detail, Andrea Jenkins from Ward 8, Philip Cunningham from Ward 4, and Alondra Cano from Ward 9, have been outspoken proponents of defunding the Minneapolis Police Department. Council member Philip Cunningham declined to discuss the security measures, stating, he said this, "I don't feel comfortable publicly discussing the death threats against me or the level of security I currently have protecting me from those threats," said Cunningham in a text message. Cunningham added that the security is temporary. Councilmember Andrea Jenkins said she's been asking for security since she has sworn in. She said that current threats have come in the form of emails, letters, and posts to social media. My concern is the large number of white nationalists in our city and other threatening communications I've been receiving, wrote Jenkins in an email. Councilmember Kano did not return any messages seeking comment. This all looks real hypocritical. And guys, it really does feel like a one-sided game here, doesn't it? I mean, like, they can endanger the lives of hundreds of thousands of innocent citizens in their city, but by defunding, if not entirely removing the police departments, leaving these people in the cities just completely defenseless against criminals. And then they cry that it's no fair and then use taxpayer money to protect themselves. It's disgusting. It's hypocritical. It's not right. It's not fair. And just remember what they keep telling us, though. It's okay, guys. This is an election year, right? It's an election year, so anything could happen. Let's keep reading. Minneapolis mayors have traditionally had a security detail provided by a Minneapolis police officer who also functions as the mayor's driver. The 13 council members are not given the same protection. Asked why Minneapolis police are not providing security services to the 3 council members, a city spokesperson said the Minneapolis Police Department resources are needed in the community. The hourly cost of a private security, though, is similar to the costs for a police officer, the spokesperson added. And then another spokesperson for the Minneapolis PD told Fox 9 the department does not actually have any recent police reports of threats against city council members. So it is possible a report maybe could have been filed confidentially, but what are we even discussing then at this point? I mean, there's the admission right there that nothing actually is even happening. Jenkins said that she's not reported the threats to the Minneapolis PD because she's been preoccupied with the dual crisis of the global pandemic and global uprising over the killer of George Floyd. I didn't realize that her job was that important as a little mere tiny city councilwoman. Oh, wait, I get it. It's very noble of her. She's very amazing. This is her moment for virtue signaling. So Jenkins said the threats have attacked her ethnicity, gender identity, sexuality. The security details being provided by 2 firms, Aegis and Belcom. The city contracts of more than $175,000, if unrelated to an emergency declaration, need to be approved by one of these city council members. Well, actually, the entire city council. A city spokesperson said it is not anticipated security costs will rise to that level, even though it's already at, what was that, $70,000, whatever I just said. The security services are intended to be a temporary bridge until other security measures can be implemented by council members, the spokesperson said. It's unclear who authorized the expenditures, though. City Coordinator Mark Ruff and City Council President Lisa Bender did not return messages seeking comment. Folks, look, I'm not condoning attacking anyone based upon their gender identity, orientation, race, or anything in general. We should all be entitled to just try and be happy in this life and to kind of pursue whatever makes us happy in this life. But when you try to dominate a percentage of the population instead of seeking balanced solutions and progress, when you try to shove your own ideas down other people's throats, even when they don't agree with you, you get even more unrest and division, you dumb numbskulls. You don't just suppress others, you idiots. You openly debate them and come to a balanced solution. Maybe Chicago has better news for us. Let's see. Oh, fuck me. I spoke too soon. 52 shot, 14 fatally in Chicago weekend shootings so far. This is the top story on ABC 7 Eyewitness News Chicago right now. It's tragic. More stuff to make our emotions go up and down through the roof. And where's the outrage for this? Let's read about this by Will Jones and Jesse Kirsch. For a second straight weekend, violence in Chicago has impacted the lives of dozens of people. And as of Sunday evening, 52 people have been shot over the weekend. 4 of the victims were minors, police said. 4 of the victims were minors. On Sunday, some business owners united to help catch those responsible. The 1-year-old boy shot and killed while riding home from the laundromat with his mother has been identified as Sincere Gaston. Did you hear what I just say? The 1-year-old boy shot and killed? The shooting, it happened in Inglewood neighborhood Saturday afternoon. Quote, "This is our community, and we refuse to let crime take over the narrative of our community. I often say this. I am proud to be the daughter of Inglewood because good is in Inglewood, and we are changing the narrative," said Alderman Stephanie Coleman, 16th Ward. "There's a growing reward for the arrest and conviction of the boy's killer. The newly formed reward group, I'm Telling Don't Shoot, is putting up $25,000. So, why isn't anyone stepping up about this? Why isn't anyone talking about this? That's what this little 1-year-old boy was worth? $25,000. That's it? That's it. For the millions raised for everything else. $25,000 for a 1-year-old shot dead. Why isn't anyone talking about this? I keep seeing statues come down. I keep seeing ignorant anarchist fools tear down tributes to the man who won the freedom for the slaves and destroyed the Ku Klux Klan. And you guys cry for our system to burn. Yet no one is crying for this little boy. It's disgusting. Those people have a special place in hell, and we're going to move on from that. So in Inglewood, we're going to keep reading, actually. This 8-year-old girl was injured in a shooting Saturday night. A stray bullet grazed her head while she was sitting on the couch. That's where we're at. You can't even sit on your fucking couch in Chicago anymore. You might get shot, maybe shot near your head. So this 8-year-old girl was injured in this shooting. A stray bullet grazed her head. This is our community, quote, "We refuse to let crime take over the narrative of our community. I often say that I'm proud to be a daughter of Inglewood." We read that already. They repeated that in the article. So far this weekend, 14 people have been fatally shot following a violent Father's Day weekend. 3-year-old Mecky James was killed Saturday after someone fired at his stepdad's car while they were riding home from the barber shop at the city's west side. A 38-year-old man shot Sunday morning in Little Village on Southwest Side, Chicago police. This article keeps going on and on, folks. I don't have to keep reading it to you. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's sad. It's horrifying, and nobody is talking about it. They don't care enough about the article to where they're typoing and repeating things in it. I mean, folks, usually someone would do something to help all the Americans caught in the middle, but no, right? Let's get historical instead, right? I mean, fuck, it's an election year, so anything can happen, right? So why not disenfranchise the almost disenfranchised who will hold on to the pant legs of what's left of the middle class and pull everyone down the rapidly collapsing cliffside and into the sea with them? And where is the actual group, Black Lives Matter, anyway? Does this not fit into their political agenda? I mean, does 1-year-old and 8-year-old children getting shot not fit into their political agenda? Maybe Seattle is doing better. Maybe we should check into those people over in Seattle annexing Antifa Island. So remember how everyone thought that Chaz or Chop, or like I like to call it, Antifa Island was gone? Think again, guys. They're not leaving. And Mayor Durgan and Inslee, they're all too weak to do anything about it. They say they won't leave until their demands are met. The insurrectionists, that is. So let's see what Cole Miller has to say about this. Quote, "With rumors and speculation swirling that city crews would be coming into the Capitol Hill organized protest, CHOP, to remove barricades on Sunday, so far, there have been no indication that that's even happening at all, at least for now. Quote, "When you hear times of when they're coming, that's not when they're coming," said Angelica, one of the leaders at CHOP. What does that even fucking mean? That's the stupidest quote I've ever heard. Why? At some entrances, they've fortified. The rebar loops that are used to move those barricades have been cut out on most of them, and a boom truck would use those loops to lift the barricades away. With roughly 70 of the concrete barriers in and around CHOP, a local structural engineer firm says it would take anywhere between 4 and 6 hours to actually haul the barriers away with the rebar loops out of the picture. So a forklift could be used to put them maybe on a flatbed, it's saying. And when it came to new negotiations, which I don't even know why they're having negotiations, but when it came to negotiations on moving the barricades, we told them we're not moving anything until we have a written agreement with what they're doing, Angelica said of the city, and protesters trying to find some kind of solution. Yeah, they're not taking them, she said. As the standoff wears on, some neighbors are growing increasingly upset with both the protesters and the city leaders. Guys, this stuff is getting entirely out of hand. And as you can see, it doesn't take long to get completely wrapped up in this stuff. The news is pushing and pulling us in all of these different directions and leaving us not knowing what to think or believe, while others are left to follow a trend and a tagline disguised as a cause. And this type of news that's here to terrorize us, to scare us, it's not stopping. You can look anywhere. CBS New York, 7-year-old New York City girl among 8 shot in 24 hours as gun violence soars. Young woman dies. Another article reads, stranger socks 78-year-old woman in the head in second random New York City elderly attack in weeks. Again, guys, it's happened again. Is Miami any better? What the fuck? Florida reports 8,530 new cases of COVID-19 on Sunday, June 28th. Holy crap. Los Angeles, help me. A woman shamed for not wearing her mask. All bars to close again. Removing Father Sarah statues. And now John Wayne. Not to mention shooting after shooting after shooting after shooting, folks. You need to be paying very close attention right now. The fact that it's an election year and anything can happen is a distraction. This is real life, guys. This isn't a reality show, and lives are at stakes. Futures are at stake. Our country is at stake. I'm not telling you how to vote or to even vote in general. What I'm telling you is that socialism is not the answer, and we need to be really evaluating how to improve our system and clean it up properly, not how to burn it to the ground like a certain someone just said on live television. You need to be talking and taking the time to really research what is happening before jumping on bandwagons. You need to stand up for yourself when your rights are being infringed upon. Everyone is made equal in this country and shares the same God-given rights, regardless of what you think. So with everything I just said, doesn't it feel like they're toying with us? Like they're insulting our intelligence? Like they think we're stupid? The powers that be are pitting us against each other while they play political pinball, while they dress up in medieval costume and LARP Game of Thrones. Oh, Jon Snow, let the cities burn to prove a point. But I have to, Danny, or else Pelosi will win and the evil Red Witch AOC will curse the land with socialism. Jamie, we could send in the mountain to terrorize the villages, and all the while, no one talks about the innocent villagers, the 10-year-old getting shot or the baby getting killed. No one ever mentions the innocent contractors that die whenever anyone blows up a Death Star. Well, guess what, everyone? Like it or not, we live in one big Death Star of a country, and all sides are trying to blow it up for the greater good. Well, I don't know about you, but I am not one of the people involved in this. So who do you think are playing the roles of the contractors in this movie? It already feels like a crazy movie script, so you might as well roll with me here. Who do you think has been cast in the script? Who do you think has been cast to play the roles of these contractors repairing the Death Star and building the Death Star? It's you and me, guys. And they're a minute away from blowing it up. So stop spackling and open your damn mouth, or we're about to lose our freaking country. Ladies and gentlemen, the real freedom is having the opportunity to all speak our piece and come to a place of peace and agreement, of balance. We need to honor the traditions that have brought us to this point in history while recognizing that as imperfect creatures in an imperfect nation, consistently, we have to strive to become better and build each other up along the way. It begins in the schools, in the homes, in the hearts, in the heads. We're all entitled to seek out, to find, to live out what our definition of happiness is supposed to be. And it's time. It's time that meaningful discussions come to the table, like solving healthcare costs for good, like racial inequality for good, like giving a fair start and shake to all children of impoverished families, regardless of their race, as the ultimate divider and inequality is wealth. It's not race, it's wealth. So the poor little Spanish kid, the black kids, the Asian kids, the poor white boys and girls could all be born into this world doomed from the start. And we should seek an end to that forever, for good. We should seek a permanent solution to our children growing up in a world where they could all have a fair shake, regardless of what they come from. But if we remain paralyzed and distracted, others with more devious plans and power-hungry, bloodthirsty hearts will come and make those decisions for us. They'll rip your heart from your chest before you even feel a thing. You need to think about what I've said today. You need to think about what I've said. You need to stay safe. And you need to make wise decisions based upon logical judgments, not emotions. So guys, I want to thank you guys very, very much. My name is James Lane. This is the American Reveille Podcast, and I want you to do me a favor and let me know what you thought of this episode. Email me at jameslane@americanreveille.com or connect with me on social media. I'm all over the place. I'm on YouTube. I'm even on TikTok making weird videos. So I want this word, this great gospel of truth to keep spreading, okay? People are waking up all over the country, taking control of their life and making smarter decisions. So I want to thank you so much for listening, everyone. But for now, this is James Lane and I'm clocking out. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye.